It was supposed to be my weekend. The custody agreement said every other Friday 6 p.m. pickup at her place. I'd pull up, he'd come running out with a backpack half-zipped, and a smile I'd wait 2 weeks just to see. We'd get burgers, rent a movie, stay up too late. That was our rhythm. But that Friday, no one came out. The house was quiet, shades drawn, porch light off. I knocked, waited, knocked again, nothing. At first, I thought maybe they were running late. Traffic, maybe. Maybe she forgot to text. Then I checked my phone. One message sent that morning. No greeting. No punctuation. We need space. Don't follow us. That was it. No explanation, no forwarding address, no phone number. She was gone. And she'd taken my son with her. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. I called her sister. No answer. I called the lawyer who'd handled our divorce. He said it was a violation of the court order. Said I had every right to file. Said we could press charges if I wanted. I stood in my driveway that night holding a plastic bag full of snacks and his favorite action figure. Didn't go inside. Didn't turn the porch light on. Just stood there. The kind of silence that doesn't make noise, but makes everything else sound hollow. People talk about heartbreak like it's loud, like shouting, crying, breaking things. But this wasn't loud. This was sitting in a quiet house with an unopened board game on the table and realizing no one was coming to play. It was the absence of sound that hurt most. I could have fought. Could have gone to court. Could have dragged her name through every channel I could afford. But I didn't. Because I wasn't just thinking about myself. I was thinking about what kind of world my son would have to grow up in if both of his parents turned love into a war. The lawyer called twice that week. Said we had a strong case. Said judges don't take kindly to parents who disappear across state lines. He meant well, but he didn't know my son. Didn't know what it would mean for him to grow up in the middle of a courtroom war. I did. I thought about what would happen if we went through with it. Depositions, hearings, testimonies. He'd have to watch two people he loved stand on opposite sides of a room, arguing over who got to keep him. I knew the law would be on my side, but what would that win actually cost? I didn't want him back through a court order. I wanted him to come back because he remembered who I was, not because a judge told him to. I still set a place for him at the table for a while. Not every night, but on the weekends that were supposed to be ours, just to keep the rhythm alive. I'd drive by the baseball field we used to go to, sit there with a coffee and watch other people's kids take batting practice. It hurt, yeah, but it reminded me of something important. I wasn't missing from his life. I was just out of sight, and I could still be present, quietly. So, I started a habit. Every birthday, I mailed a card. Same format, every year. A note in my handwriting. Never long, never dramatic. Just, happy birthday, kiddo. I miss you. I'm proud of you. Love, Dad. Always here. I didn't know if he read them. Didn't know if they got thrown away. But I wrote them anyway. Because even if I couldn't be part of his day, I wanted to be part of his memory. Life didn't stop, just slowed down. I left my job in the city and picked up part-time maintenance work at a local school. Nothing fancy. Leaky sinks, broken chairs, a jammed door here and there. It kept my hands busy, gave me enough to live, left me enough space to feel. I made small routines out of things other people forget. Watering the same patch of grass in the morning. Buying one birthday card every year, months in advance. Keeping a drawer full of them, just in case the post office ever lost one. I sent him books sometimes, nothing too heavy. Just things a boy might read. if he felt like hearing a voice that wasn't telling him who to be. Once I mailed a small wooden compass I'd sanded and stained myself. No note, just the compass. Part of me hoped he'd understand. You're free to go anywhere, just don't forget how to get home. Neighbors asked if I ever heard from him. I said no. They said it wasn't right, that I should fight, get what I'm owed. But I wasn't thinking about what I was owed. I was thinking about what he deserved. A father doesn't just show up when it's convenient. A father stays, even when unseen. So I stayed. I stayed in the same house, kept the same number. Never changed the mailbox, never took down his room. I left the light on over the porch, out of habit, really, but maybe also out of hope. Some nights were hard. Really hard. Holidays, mostly. The silence after the turkey's carved when no one's arguing over who gets the last roll. Or birthdays when you sing into a quiet kitchen. But I kept going. Not because I was brave, but because quitting would have made me disappear. And I refused to vanish. Because one day, maybe, he'd wonder if I was still where he left me. And when he did, I wanted the answer to be yes. It was a Saturday, late spring. The kind of day when the sun doesn't rush to set, and the air smells like fresh-cut grass. I was out back trimming the hedges, halfway through a job I didn't really need to finish. I remember the sound of tires on gravel, not fast, not hesitant, just certain. I looked up, and there he was. Taller than I remembered, hair a little longer, shoulders broader, still had the same way of standing. One foot turned out slightly, like he never got used to both feet facing forward. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there at the edge of the driveway with a backpack slung over one shoulder and something like resolve in his eyes. I didn't rush to him, didn't ask questions, didn't break the silence. I just wiped my hands on a rag and waited. He walked forward, slow, steady, stopped at the porch, looked up at the light over the door. It was on, like always. Then he looked at me and said, "I've always known where home is." That was it. No speech, no drama, no apology, just truth. I held the door open. He stepped inside. We didn't talk much that night. He dropped his bag by the old coat rack, opened the fridge like he'd never left, and grabbed a soda. We ate leftovers in front of the TV, watched a ball game we didn't care about. He laughed once. I did too. There were 1,000 things I wanted to ask. Where he'd been, what he remembered, what he thought of me. But I didn't, because none of it mattered right then. He was home. That was enough. He stayed, not forever, not full-time, but long enough. Long enough for breakfast on the porch, long enough to fix the old shed door that never quite closed, long enough for me to learn that his favorite band had changed, but he still put ketchup on everything. He didn't say much about where he'd been, didn't talk bad about his mother, didn't explain why he left or why he came back. And I didn't ask. Because this wasn't a courtroom, this was home. And home doesn't require testimony, just presence. Some evenings we'd sit on the back steps, drinking root beer from glass bottles like we used to. We didn't talk about lost time. We talked about where to fish when the weather warmed up, how the local team was doing, whether the lawnmower was on its last leg. Simple things, but they carried weight. More than any court ruling ever could. People sometimes ask how I kept from fighting, how I let her take him, why I didn't raise hell or drag it through the system. And I tell them this: I didn't need a legal win. I needed to be the one he could still come home to. Because love, real love, doesn't fight for ownership. It waits for connection. She took him away on paper, but I never left. Not in the ways that mattered. And when he found his way back, it wasn't because I forced the door open. It was because I left the light on. I didn't win him back. I just stayed where he could find me. And in the end, that was enough.